Welcome to the 5 on 5. We are pleased to be joined today by Rebecca Bender, the founder of the Rebecca Bender Initiative. Thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Now we call you our expert on human trafficking. You travel all over the world working cases, including here in Southern Oregon, and we have been covering a few stories of that happening here. Is it a growing problem?
You know, trafficking as a whole is a growing problem, but Medford is a great community. We actually have very few cases of human trafficking compared to other communities in the U.S. I think this is one of the safest communities to live in. I know that, you know, my husband and I, we could live a lot of other places, and we've had job opportunities in other places, but we really want to raise our children in Southern Oregon. It's one of the most community-focused and safe places to raise a family. So while there are cases of human trafficking anywhere that internet exists, which means any city in America, the numbers that we have are very, very small compared to other places.
We had a case that just took place a week or so ago involving two young ladies that you were involved in. Can you walk us through kind of what happened and what the status is if you do know anything?
Yeah, well, our local detectives at the Medford Police Department had been monitoring some online activity that looked as if it was potentially a trafficked minor, and they contacted me, and we were able to approach the victims, and we were able to get one into a safe place. The other did flee the scene. It's really hard to get young teenage girls who are still kind of in the middle of their brainwashing and come from really vulnerable homes to open up in the middle of, you know, the first time you encounter and interact with them. You really have to gain trust and to be able to have the time to develop relationship that makes them willing and wanting to open up to us. And in this case, she wasn't quite there yet, and we just continue to hope for a speedy recovery back at home.
How do you generally learn about these trafficking situations, and how do you decide if you're going to be involved or not?
Yeah, usually we get called from a lot of detectives or prosecutors or district attorneys from a variety of cases all across the country. Oftentimes they're wanting to learn more about a coercive tactic that was employed by a trafficker, or decipher an email or a text message or an online ad that might not normally be really cut and dry to the general eye. But someone obviously like myself who was not only trafficked for 6 years and knows the black market really well, but now can articulate it in a way that makes sense to a detective and law enforcement, has been really helpful when we comb through cases with a variety of different counties across the country.
Okay, we've got much more to talk about, but we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We are pleased to be joined once again with Rebecca Bender, the founder of the Rebecca Bender Initiative. Thank you so much for being here once again. Now, before we run out of time today, we want to see if we can get your opinion on the Sherry Papini case, which took place not too long ago and really spread across the nation. Everyone was hoping for a safe return. She did come home. You talked to us about that it appeared that there were some signs of potential trafficking. Just talk a little bit about that case.
Yeah, well, abduction for human trafficking is very, very rare. It's less than 10% of trafficked victims are kidnapped. The majority of the time it happens by someone you know. Oftentimes with teenagers, it's someone that they've met online, someone that's gaining their trust, gaining that open communication with them. So abduction is very, very rare to end up as human trafficking. In the beginning, nobody thought trafficking because of the kidnapping, and because the victim, Sherry in this case, she was older, she was 34. It's not really a prime target for trafficking age. After she was released, some of the signs that appeared branding and other women are usually telltale signs of human trafficking. So as experts and advocates, we really began to shift the narrative to look at what was the motive of kidnapping a 34-year-old mother of two and wife. And the obvious answer at this point, knowing that she was branded and that she was released by two other potential victims, could be that the motive may have been human trafficking.
And obviously that case still open and active. They're looking into it, but interesting to get your take on that. We appreciate that, Rebecca. And obviously this is a growing issue, and it happens all across the country. What do people need to know, or what can they do to increase the fight against trafficking? Yeah,
I mean, I think while the information and awareness about human trafficking is spreading, and obviously the issue of human trafficking and commercial sex for sale is an issue, I think it's really important to look at what our circle of influences are as human beings and potentially as parents. You know, parents who have sons need to be equally as concerned that they're raising boys that aren't going to become buyers or sellers of sex. I mean, we live in a culture right now where our media is saturated with what used to be considered softcore porn. And now that's our mainstream media. And what is happening to our children that are being raised in that kind of culture? I think we're seeing the effects of that by seeing the increase of youthful flesh for sale online. That continues to spread.
Well, Rebecca, we so appreciate your time. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
We'll be right back.